Gina Bartlow is from what's close to my heart, New England. She's from the great state of New Hampshire, and with Twin Rivers, part of the Institute of Professional Practice. And please welcome Gina to the podium. Thank you.
Hi, I'm not really a public speaker. I hope I speak as eloquently as David did. But being here today makes me feel like an important person, but in reality, I'm an ordinary person with an important job. I've gone to school, worked, married, and had children. I've always cared about family and friends. I committed myself to caring for my children. When my son Stephen was born, I was suddenly committed to full-time critical care of a very fragile child. Gratefully, my family was able to rally together and get through those tough times. We were fortunate enough to have the community resources and professional interventions immediately. A lot of people cared and helped, and Stephen thrived. Today, Stephen is a young adult who is lucky to attend a terrific day program, Twin Rivers, where he has the opportunity to work, be with friends, volunteer, and give back to his community. He leads a full life that includes family, friends, and genuine participation in society. My story is relatively a happy one because we were afforded the supports that we needed. We happen to live in a state where services to people with disabilities were considered an entitlement. In California, Stephen's services began when he was only a month old. Moving to New Hampshire, despite the research I did ahead of time, we found ourselves on a waiting list because Stephen had turned 21. After a year, Stephen only received services part-time. So what's the big deal, one might ask? Why should the government take care of a child with disabilities? Isn't that the responsibility of a parent? Please, services are not a replacement for parenting. In fact, proper services allow a child to remain with his parents and have all the usual experiences that go along with growing up, all the while enhancing typical development. In the meantime, the child may need speech therapy to be able to communicate with others, physical therapy to reduce dependence on others, occupational therapy to enjoy activities others take for granted. Without the help of these and many other therapies, a child will grow into an isolated, dependent adult. On the other end of the service spectrum is yet another challenge. What do we do with the endless open days now that one has graduated from high school? This is where funding has been seriously cut throughout many states, somehow seen as less important than early intervention. Yet it is a critical component to the developmental journey, as well as a lifeline for the family. A young person with disabilities often needs structure and supervision, perhaps physical care. Without programs that supply these, it falls on the parents. Too often, parents have had to quit needed jobs to stay home with an adult child and suffer tremendous financial losses, even the loss of their homes as a result. So where am I going with all this? Our Constitution purports that all are created equal and that each has the right to pursue happiness. Thank you. Services to the disabled should be considered a right. It is said that one can judge a nation by the way it treats its most vulnerable citizens. Need I say more? Direct support professionals are the backbone of services for the disabled. They provide everything from conflict resolution and companionship to teaching and transportation, personal potential and self-esteem to safety and personal care. The direct support professional job description always seems to include something like "and other necessary duties not otherwise listed," because there is no way one can capture all the responsibilities and challenges that may present themselves in a single workday. And speaking of workdays, they can be very long and lack breaks. A DSP must have endless patience, energy, emotional strength, conflict resolution skills, and empathy without sympathy. All of the lower all for the lowest wage scale of nearly every job out there. So, to quote the Peace Corps, it's the toughest job you could ever love. So, why do I love it so? The change that I see happening in someone's life is intoxicating. To know that I have contributed in such a profound way makes it all worth it. Early intervention, like Stephen received, is critical to developing the most typical way possible. It's critical to developing in the most critical way possible. The more typical the development, the more the child can participate in preschool, school, and beyond. Without the services Stephen received, he would be isolated, misunderstood, and unable to grow to his full potential. But this is my story. Go speak to your senators and congressmen and tell them your story. Help them understand the importance of the work we do, and let them know that funding is critical to support the people that need us.
Thank you, Gina. And as Gina said, when you go to the Hill this afternoon, most of you are very humble, and those of you who've been recognized this week have said things like, well, I'm just doing my job. Well, your job makes a huge difference, and today you can make a huge difference when you go to the Hill and speak for the thousands of other DSPs that aren't with us here today. Be that beacon of light, be that voice, and deliver your message with the same passion that you deliver your services every day. And we're very fortunate to have DSP advocates as part of this campaign, but we're also very fortunate to have folks who are from the outside, who are supporters, who are advocates, who are members of families with a loved one with a disability. And some of those folks end up having book reviews written in the Washington Post. Published today, in fact. It's a lovely review, by the way. And I'm talking about, of course, Rachel Simon, who's been a tremendous supporter of ANCOR's, probably even before her book came out, her first book, Riding the Bus with My Sister. Hopefully all of you have heard this week about her new book, Story of Beautiful Girl. And again, fantastic review. Rachel's always on message. She's very passionate about what we're doing with our campaign. And before I introduce her, I'd like to just read a little bit from the review this morning. Rachel Simon's The Story of a Beautiful Girl is for those who were put away, for the generations of people with disabilities who for many years were locked in institutions, away from families, out of sight of society, and in some cases, far away from basic human decency. In short, this novel is the author's gift to those who never had a chance to speak for themselves. Rachel, thank you for helping us give these people a voice.
Hi. 50 years ago,